Traffic from the MichaelsFlooringOutlet.com Traffic Center.
We've got heavy traffic westbound 70 at the city limits. It's a little busy at the airport. There's some slow stuff from T.R. Hughes through almost to Bryan Road, and then again right through 61. Eastbound 70, though, delays east of Warrenton around the Wright City West area and approaching Wright City all the way into Wentzville Parkway is heavy. It's heavy again from 5th Street in through almost to 270 around the airport and from Hanley all the way into the city. So a lot of more volume eastbound, really, which is crazy on a Friday that direction. Westbound 64, Kings Highway headed all the way out through Hanley's heavy. There's a slowdown, K briefly, and then at 364 eastbound coming through 94 Research Park, Clarkson into Timberlake, and east of Lindbergh through the Interbelt. The Interbelt bogs down at Olive, South 270 Olive, all the way down through to Tesson Ferry, northbound Manchester up to Ladue is busy. 55 around Arsenal's kind of slow, and eastbound 44 heavy between the bridges. I'm Roger Brand at the MichaelsFlooringOutlet.com Traffic Center.
Brought to you by Valvoline Instant Oil Change. Service you can see, experts you can trust.
Sounds kind of like the starting bell to Grandma's house. Or maybe snowbirding. Just remember to stop by before you go. Valvoline Instant Oil Change. Oil changes in about 15 minutes. No appointment needed.
News, traffic, and the latest from the world of sports. This is Rush Hour Sports on 104.1 FM KMOX.
All right, welcome into Friday. It is Rush Hour Sports as we get back to regular KMOX programming here on a Friday, getting you into, Thanksgiving week is next week, boys. Bernie Miklasz, Matt Pauley, Kevin Wheeler with you here. This month's flying by, man. I don't know what it is, but we're getting through it and finally starting to get a little bit of action in the baseball season. Finally, it's not great stuff yet. It's a little bit today, but it's still stuff.
It is. And first of all, I want to apologize in advance if I start sneezing like a...
Oh, no.
Yeah, I got one of those things, so I apologize in advance. No, the non-tender day is here, and it's interesting to go through some of the names, and certainly with the Cardinals names. I'll let you guys bring that up, but I didn't see too much in terms of what other teams did that caught my eye. I know, I don't know, maybe 80% of Cardinals fans will want them to bring Adolis Garcia back, even though he has over the last couple seasons basically turned into Nolan Gorman, but whatever.
Yeah, it's been rough. No, it has been. It's been ever since the World Series. He's just not been the same guy. He had a great playoff run, and actually maybe had one really good year after that, but the last two, he's been even below what some of the guys the Cardinals have had. Like, he's been below Lars Nootbaar in terms of production, and he's starting to get expensive, and he's 32 now. He's going to be 33 in a month and a half, 2 months.
And in all candor, he might be older.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, good point.
The fact that he had those really good years during some arbitration time, that also took his salary up to a place where, it's just not worth it anymore. Kevin, you and I were texting about this. When you saw him being a non-tender guy, it makes all the sense in the world.
Yep.
He's not worth what he would have gotten in arbitration.
No, not at all. Not at all. And as you guys point out, there weren't a lot of big names that were let go. They're fringe players, guys that have been hurt. Maybe some pieces you could be excited about, but I don't think anything that we need to speculate about. But we can talk a bit about what the Cardinals did. So they non-tendered 4 guys. And Jorge Alcala had already been designated for assignment. So he was probably on his way out anyway, and he was due $2 million or so in arbitration. So he's out. Semra Bursa is, again, these are non-tenders. That doesn't mean they won't be brought back on minor league deals. This just clears them off the 40-man. So that you would have to negotiate, because these guys are all now free agents. That's what this means. Non-tendered means these are free agents, but you could bring them back below an ARB number or on a minor league deal or whatever. But Alcala, Semra Bursa, John King, which is interesting because you don't have many lefties in this pen, so maybe that gives us a clue as to what they'll be shopping for in trades and in free agency. And then the other one is Joel Pozo, which is not super shocking. And I wonder, guys, if he's a candidate to come back on a minor league deal.
Yeah, I think he will be. Only because we're not sure what they're going to do with the catcher position. I assume that Jimmy Crooks is going to have a prominent role, and I assume Ivan Herrera is going to catch his share of games. I'm not buying into this thing where he'll be catching 100 games or whatever.
No.
I think they're going to start to kind of make Crooks the centerpiece, at least until maybe Leonardo Bernal gets up here. But anyway, to get to the point, he was everyone in that organization loves him, Pozo, and he did them a great job last year when Herrera had to go on the IL twice for significant time. And it was a storybook type thing. His backstory, The family had to live in a car. He didn't have a baseball job. Their infant son was born with basically a terrible condition where he had strokes. The medical bills piled up. And this guy was so heartwarming because he got a chance because of Herrera's injuries, he got a chance.
Yeah.
And he was so good for several months. And then the bottom fell out, which kind of happens. He was like 3 for his last 34, I think. But boy, he won games for them
a couple
earlier
times
in the season.
Yeah.
But I think they would bring him back to maybe help out and catch it Memphis. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, I do think it's interesting. Of the 4 players that were, I guess the 3 players that were let go, only John King was actually arbitration eligible. The other guys were under club control in terms of how much they would make, but they wanted the 40-man roster spots for those guys. When it comes to Pozo, and you allude to it, Bernie, over his last 22 games last season, and that goes from the end of July on, he hit .098 with a .305 OPS. But he's a guy that his job this past year was to be a veteran catcher at AAA, to be there for Jimmy Crooks, and if there was an emergency at the major league level, come in and not embarrass himself. That's exactly what he did, and he had some really, really fun moments in the process of doing that. I hope for Joel that another team out there wants to give him a deal with a major league contract where he gets on the 40-man roster. You mentioned the family situation and everything. I hope he can make as much money as possible just because all that's going on. But if this offseason rolls through and he does not have a major league or 40-man opportunity somewhere, yeah, I'd love to see the Cardinals bring him back for the exact same role, veteran catcher, AAA, be there with Leonardo Bernal.
Yeah, he fits you guys. Like, if you look at modern catching, there's basically 2 ways, right? The old school way is we have a dude, we have one guy, he's going to catch 120, 130 games, and then you have a true backup, and then you have job shares. And he, to me, Pozo, is a true backup. Like, if you have a 1, he's fine as a 2. If you need a timeshare, I'm not sure he's a fit. But for what you described, Matt, perfect. Play at AAA, spell Bernal. You could be the emergency call-up if Bernal's not ready. And some of this, though, guys, does depend on what the team ends up choosing to do. Do they get offers on their catcher depth? Do they get an offer for Pages from a team that sees him as a really good timeshare guy with somebody else?
I don't have a good answer. At least I admit that.
Yeah, we don't. I think that that's what we're going to have to see play out as far as knowing what's next and how the team views their guys. Because I like Pages too, but I don't think Pages is an quote everyday guy. And
this is it's a tough place for the Cardinals to be in, because if you can go into the season knowing that Jimmy Crooks is going to be your frontline catcher, and then Ivan Herrera is actually going to be able to catch and can give you 40, 50 games behind the plate, and then he can play somewhere else on all those other days, then it's very easy in that scenario to move on from Pedro Pages. However, we don't know what it's going to look like for Ivan Herrera. There is a chance they get to spring, and
it's not good.
The throwing hasn't changed. He continues to get injured back there, everything. And then all of a sudden, you have to permanently move him from behind the plate. And if you have just traded Pedro Pages, that puts you into a situation that you'd probably really rather not be in.
That's a great point, Matt.
Yep.
Really terrific.
Yeah, totally agree. And that's a position. I know, again, we don't know exactly how the new front office sees it, but traditionally with the Cardinals, that's a position they don't like to take chances with. And I don't blame them. I wouldn't either. To me, that's one thing. You got to have some known commodities. I don't know that you can wing it. Even if you're rebuilding, it's a disservice to your pitchers. If you're winging it with uncertainty, you're putting them in a bad spot if you don't have someone you can trust.
And Kevin, you made a good point a couple minutes ago, just to follow up on that, where you talked about the decision to non-tender John King. In and of itself, it made a lot of sense because he had sort of done better than I ever thought, and I think he got away with some stuff. But last season, he didn't get away with much, and he got hit pretty hard. But your point about how they appear to be a lot thin in terms of like left-handed relievers in their organization, I think that's true. Now they may have other plans, like if they can bring a Pete Hansen back, maybe they can repurpose him because he throws like John King because he's not a high velo guy.
Yeah.
But the other thing is the free agent market doesn't have a lot of lefty relief help.
Nope.
It really doesn't.
No, it doesn't. And, I think, did they keep Veneziano? I think they kept him, right?
I think so.
Yeah. So, that's a lefty that you could pair with Romero, and it gives you two, but you don't have anything beyond that unless later in the year, we can talk about this later in the spring, but a healthy Cooper Jerpy might project in that role because of all the arm problems. And he's funky. He's tough to get a look at. I bet for lefties, they probably hate him. So, down the road, but he's got to show he's healthy first and all of that. And that's stuff that we'll kick around later on. Well, we want to get around to next, and I want to bring up a couple of things. Bernie, you had a great video today talking about the Cardinals trade pieces. So we'll kick around a couple of those ideas, and then eventually we're going to get to Mizzou, Oklahoma, and a little Chiefs Colts as we go through Rush Hour Sports. It's a Friday night on KMOX.
Right now, someone in a Hardee's kitchen is about to warm up your holiday with the new grilled cheese bacon burger. Charbroiled 100% Angus beef, bacon, and Swiss and American cheese melting on our soft, buttery sourdough. And our new grilled cheese breakfast sandwich with sausage or bacon and a fried egg. For your inner child and your grown-up cravings, the new grilled cheese bacon burger and breakfast sandwich. For a limited time, only at Hardee's. Cinnamon Raisin Biscuits are back. Unwrap them while you can. Only for a limited time at participating restaurants.
Overhead Door Company of St. Louis, the genuine, the original, present 100 years of KMOX.
Ladies and gentlemen, His Holiness Pope John Paul II.
There, when St. Louis celebrated.
We greet you and we thank you. For 20 years, you have lifted our spirits and touched our hearts.
There was much excitement in St. Louis during the recent baseball season.
Could have picked any other state or country to go to, and you picked our city.
I will always remember St. Louis. I will remember all of you. God bless St. Louis. God bless America.
There for every headline, every heartbreak, every heartbeat. KMOX, the voice of St. Louis. Brought to you by St. Louis Public Library, St. Louis's original search engine.
Discover one of St. Louis's greatest treasures, St. Louis Public Library's Central Library. Designed by world-renowned architect Cass Gilbert and completed in 1912, this Beaux Arts masterpiece blends stunning historic details with modern design after a $70 million award-winning renovation. Experience the grandeur for yourself. Free docent-led tours are available Mondays at 11 and 12:30 and Saturdays at 11 noon and 1 p.m. Visit online at slpl.org to learn more. St. Louis Public Library.
This is Congressman Bob Onder. For 43 days, the left kept the government closed, holding the American people hostage and demanding radical policy changes, including free health care for illegal immigrants. However, thanks to strong Republican leadership, the Senate voted to reopen the government and put America first. I'm thrilled to return to Washington so I can continue to vote to help Missourians, to secure our nation's borders, and to cut wasteful spending. Visit onder.house.gov to find the office closest to you.
Paid for by official funds authorized by the House of Representatives.
I'm Ed Evans, CEO of Consumer Cellular. Ever wonder why Big Wireless wants you on an unlimited plan? They probably want you to cover the cost of those 20-somethings using all that data every month. But most people 50 and up like me only use 12 gigs or less. Don't get bamboozled by Big Wireless. Switch to Consumer Cellular. Our plans start at just $20, and we use the same towers as the big guys. Join the millions who choose something better, because if you're not using all that data, you're probably getting used.
Call 1-888-FREEDOM, visit consumercellular.com/fax or a store near you. Plans include $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing. See site for additional facts.
Hey, I'm Mike Slater. My dad passed away at the age of 63. It's out of nowhere. Had a stroke. Super hard, obviously, for the whole family, but my dad had life insurance. This is why I have life insurance for my family, for my wife and 4 kids. And the best place to get life insurance is ethos.com, because you can do it in 10 minutes. And there's no medical exam and no blood test, just a few health questions. Get life insurance in 10 minutes so your family is protected. Ethos, ETHOS, ethos.com/life.
Traffic from the MichaelsFlooringOutlet.com traffic center.
Well, we got some trouble downtown now. This traffic reports the service of Jerry Kelly Heating, Air Conditioning, Electrical, and Plumbing. It's a crash westbound 64 before you get to the Poplar Street Bridge west of 3rd Street. The left lanes are closed, so 5570's jammed just west of 203 onto 64 to that point. Eastbound slow going by. East and westbound 44 delays approaching the Poplar. The westbound is actually a jam. Both directions of 70 around Jennings Station's heavy. Eastbound 70's backed up the Blanchette Bridge in Nurse City. We had a crash just east of there. Westbound is slow. TR Hughes through K. A to Z. Eastbound 70 still has backups periodically from Wright City all the way into Wentzville Parkway. Pretty much a solid jam from the David Hochul Parkway on in. South 170 backs up at Delmar. Westbound 64, Kings Highway headed out through McCausland's on the brakes. Eastbound 64 east of Lindbergh through to Big Bend's bumper to bumper. There's also eastbound heavy coming through the parkways out of the valley. Westbound from 364 out to 70's crowded. 270 both ways between Olive and Manchester slow, but the southbound stuff remains busy all the way down to 55. I'm Roger Brand in the Michael's Flooring Outlet.com Traffic Center.
My best friend Jenny came over for coffee, said it's cold enough in here to play hockey. Well, my furnace broken, it's already late. Call Jerry Kelly because they're open till 8. JerryKelly.com. They're fast and they're good and they got it going on. Jerry Kelly.
This is Rush Hour Sports on 104.1 FM KMOX.
Friday night on KMOX, Rush Hour Sports. Bernie Miklasz, Matt Pauley, Kevin Wheeler with you here. We'll do some football after the bottom of the hour news. Talk some Mizzou, Oklahoma as they kick it off tomorrow in Norman. And then, of course, the Chiefs and Colts in a pretty big game in the AFC. We'll talk about that toward the end of the hour. Let's stay on the Cardinals for a minute here. And Bern, you had a really great video today. They're always great, but I mean, like this one is obviously timely with the trade talks and everything that's going on. Just kind of running through. We don't need to do this. Let's use this as kind of a tease and a promo. Because you already did the video. I don't want to make you do it again. But some really interesting ideas about the various...
First of all, you got to say where it is. STL Sports
Central. Yeah, that's a good point.
Okay.
You can find it with Bernie on Twitter. Easy place to find it if you follow Bern on Twitter. But you did a really great job of laying out some of the valuable pieces. And I thought, what stood out to me is they do have people that, for a team that has been underachieving, there are still guys that would fit as good players for good teams because those good teams have elite players to complement them.
Well, that's right. And, sometimes I've been doing a lot of reviews of like each individual Cardinal player from 2025. I wanted a little time to elapse because I think it sort of gives you better focus when you have time to put some things in perspective. But I think the Cardinals actually have a lot of trade pieces. Now, this is the key thing to differentiate. When I say they have a lot of good trade pieces, it doesn't mean all of them will get this great return.
Right.
I'm not saying that,
Right.
But they have guys that they can flip. And, part of, someone who's really good at this job, they can take a low A or a high A reliever and everyone kind of says, well, who the heck is this guy? And then he becomes Matt Swanson. You know what I mean? So just because you flip a guy and you don't get this big splashy return, it doesn't mean anything. That's why you have to continue to collect assets. So I think they have a lot of guys like that. But again, I'm talking too long because, of course, it's basically going to come down to the same guys we've talked about so much.
Yeah.
And I think the question remains is just how many of those guys are they actually willing to get rid of? If there's action on all these guys, is there a point where they finally have to say, okay, enough is enough? We actually have to field a major league roster this year. And I go back and forth on that because I don't want this team just to be a tanking team that is completely non-competitive this upcoming season. I want it to be fun and I want it to be entertaining. But at the same time, I think the way you supercharge yourself back to being a team that can be contending for division championships, league championships, and world championships on a consistent basis is it all comes from the farm system and it all comes from developing talent. So I feel like from a big picture standpoint, this upcoming season, be darned, I want to see them put themselves in position to raise that ceiling more often down the line.
Yeah, it's funny, Bern. I don't know if you've seen it, but Matt and I have been texting about it. We've got too many people in the Cardinals social media space, and not from the Cardinals, but people that Twitter, things like that. They're like, Cardinals better get 2 top 100 prospects for Brendan Donovan. Like, okay, guys, we need a reality check here. Like Juan Soto you're not getting a Juan Soto deal or even half of a Juan Soto deal for 2 years of Donovan. We do need to have, Matt and I talked about this Wednesday, we just have to have reasonable expectations. Right, you're looking for pieces that you can put together. If you get one, maybe toward the bottom of the top 100, that would be wonderful. That would be a huge boon, and it would be fantastic. But that's not what Donovan is. He's not a middle of the order bat. He's not a front of the rotation starter. Those are the guys that get the big deals.
You're so right. And The one thing about Brendan Donovan, I almost feel bad talking about this because it makes me sound like I'm a guy that doesn't respect him or something, and I absolutely do. But this is where my old age comes in handy. If in the standpoint, what's happened in this baseball market, the Cardinals' glaring lack of star power compared to the old days, where you had big stars up and down the lineup. Someone like Brendan Donovan, who's a really nice player, he really is a good player. All of a sudden, he sort of is projected as, well, he's our star, he's our guy. Yes, but there's a vacuum of star power. That's the only reason why we consider him to be the star. I mean, where would Brendan Donovan be with, like, if you were going to lay it all out on a table, where would you put him if you took all the Cardinals lineups when they were great? Would he be a star? Would he be a guy like, well, you can't trade him under any circumstances? But people are coming and, saying, even friends of mine are writing and talking about, no, I've thought about this. You can't trade him. And it's because he is a star only because the team has no stars. And so it's exaggerated importance.
Yeah,
I took too long.
It's almost like you anticipated it, Matt. You saw the comment that says Donovan's an all-star. Yeah, so was Javi Baez this year. Zach McKinstry made the all-star team. Zach McKinstry and Brendan Donovan were the exact same player in 2025. And nothing against any of those guys. It's just the point that, like, if you didn't have a requirement. Now, Brendan Donovan's first half was amazing. His first half was amazing. His numbers stood out. He deserved the all-star spot. But that's not really the point here. The point here is that in the way you put it, Bern, and Matt, we've talked about this. If you have an Albert Pujols, if you have Donovan, or you have Goldschmidt and Arenado from 2-3 years ago, that's not your all-star. One of those guys is.
Exactly. I would tell Cardinals fans, and I always say I try not to tell fans how to be fans, but I'm going to say expect more, want more, desire more.
For the star player, yeah.
Yes, you want the. And this is not me being dismissive of any of these really nice players who can be part of winning clubs and do a lot of things well, but you want your best player to be better than Brendan Donovan. You want your best player to be better than Alec Burleson. Jim Wilson on the screen. Donovan is a great member of the supporting cast on a legit MLB contender.
Yes. 100%.
This Albert Pujols, Nolan Arenado, Paul Goldschmidt, Matt Holliday,
Yachty.
Yes,
Yachty.
those are superstars. That needs to be the top of the roster.
Yeah.
Can I throw this in real quick? One of the reasons Matt Carpenter is so underappreciated, because people still whine about him. I have no idea why. He had a hell of a career as a Cardinal utility guy, right?
Yep.
But he's sort of an afterthought because he came along at a time. In fact, he made his major league debut in 2011. He was kind of overshadowed by all these big name remnants of the great Cardinals legacy of that era. And so Jim Wilson, I really appreciate what you said there, because it's true. I mean, thanks for your intelligence. I really mean that. And this idea that, well, he's an all-star. Have you looked at people that have been on the all-star teams for 20 years or so? They got to have a representative of every team, all right?
Yeah.
There are all-stars, all capital letters, and there are all-stars more like medium case or lowercase.
Yeah, really well put.
Letters.
Really well put.
Yeah.
All right, after the news, we're going to shift to football. We'll start with Mizzou and Oklahoma. We'll get to the Chiefs and the Colts as well. It's Rush Hour Sports on KMOX.
Swapping out your tires? There's nothing like it. With eBay, you can find the feel you're looking for, from smooth highway rides to grip for rough terrain. Get all the tires you need at prices you'll love. eBay. Things people love.
At 5:30, this news update is sponsored by Michael's Flooring Outlet, the flooring experts, michaelsflooringoutlet.com. We've got some drizzle. It's 57 degrees downtown at the Arch. Missouri's Attorney General is taking new legal action over abortion drugs.
Missouri Attorney General Catherine Hanaway has filed a lawsuit to block the approval of a new generic version of mifepristone and stop mail-order distribution of abortion drugs. The suit claims weakened safety standards and the lack of in-person medical care put women at risk of severe complications. Hanaway, a Republican, says the generic drug's own label shows roughly 1 in 25 women who take chemical abortion drugs end up in the emergency room. Federal law has long prohibited sending abortion drugs through the mail, but Hanaway says abortion pill distributors and national telehealth networks have built a nationwide mail-order abortion economy, shipping these drugs to women in all 50 states. Missouri joins Kansas and Idaho in asking the court to restore pre-2016 safeguards and halt nationwide mail-order access. Hanaway says the move is aimed at protecting maternal health and enforcing state law. Matt Pilger, Missouri Net.
A Baldwin family is in shambles as a father is in the process of being deported.
This is Stuart McMillan.
This was our worst nightmare.
Alejandro Perez Figueroa, a native of Mexico, crossed the border in 2012. He met his now wife, Janie, in 2019. Now has 2 daughters living in Baldwin. But about a month ago, he was on his way to work when he was picked up by ICE. Janie tells KMOX she was on the phone with him when it happened.
I overheard. Alejandro Perez, we have a warrant out for your arrest.
Mrs. Perez says she was under the impression that ICE would not be targeting her husband.
We had been told by even many U.S. immigration lawyers that Alejandro is not the one they're going to go after because he has a clean record. Any kind of background check he passes.
Perez Figueroa is currently being detained at the jail in Mount Vernon, Illinois by the order of U.S. Marshals. If you haven't seen an older loved one in a while, you may notice changes at the holidays.
If you see a difference in memory or behavior, it's time to have a conversation.
Well, just say, hey, I noticed some things. These are the things that I've noticed. You know, you're asking the same question often, or you seem to be struggling to follow our conversation. Do you notice that too? Like, are you noticing that you're having some problems?
Sarah Lovegreen, Vice President of Programs for the Greater Missouri chapter of the Alzheimer's Association, says early screening is key to accessing the best treatments. Other warning signs of Alzheimer's disease include difficulty completing familiar tasks and confusion with the time and place. Megan Lynch, KMOX News.
From the Saliga Heating and Cooling Weather Center for tonight, periods of rain until midnight, low 45. For tomorrow, sunshine and a high of 62, 64 for Sunday. Right now, drizzle and 57 downtown at the Arch. I'm Michael Calhoun, KMOX News.
Join in the festivities as the St. Louis Symphony Orchestra presents Beethoven's Seventh, Energy and Reverie. Sparks of energy will fly across Powell Hall in this spirited Thanksgiving weekend event featuring one of Beethoven's personal favorites, his blazing, boisterous Seventh Symphony. Pianist Joyce Yang joins to give her interpretation of Rachmaninoff's Rhapsody on a theme of Paganini, November 29th and 30th. Tickets at slso.org.
Hey there, it's Steven, the owner of the Photo Pros, formerly Creve Coeur Camera. Each day, people bring us their family history, single photos in need of restoration, piles of photos wanting them to be scanned, boxes of slides, albums, videotapes, DVDs, and even old home movies. We take them and digitize them, or what we call scan them at high resolution, and place them on a USB thumb drive. Plus, many people want additional copies for the rest of the family. Yes, we'll make you copies. Here's the best part. You don't have to send them out of St. Louis and have a chance of losing them. If needed, we can fix or restore the entire image or images. We are slightly higher priced than the internet, but our quality is top notch. Remember the Photo Pros, formerly Creve Coeur Camera. Come visit Mark, Derek, Daryl, Tony, and me, Steven, at our store. You can reach us at 314-567-3456 or Google the Photo Pros or even Creve Coeur Camera.
Bernie Miklasz here for Saliga Heating and Cooling. I never get tired of talking about this great family business. The Saligas have owned this great family business since 1927. Dan Saliga is the fourth owner-operator of this proud family business. And the Miklasz family has been calling on Saliga Heating and Cooling for 18 years now. And this Daikin Comfort dealer continues to be immaculate as far as we're concerned. We've never had a bad experience. We've never had a situation where they didn't know what they were looking at. They couldn't figure something out. Or they said they were going to come at 2 o'clock in the afternoon and then they show up at 7 o'clock. We've never had a situation where they try to upsell us or talk us into something we don't need, something more expensive. I mean, I could go on and on and on about their integrity, but their knowledge is great and their professionalism is superb. And they're going to take good care of you. You know why? Because Saliga Heating and Cooling They've been serving generations of St. Louis families since 1927, as I mentioned. They want to earn your business. They want to earn your loyalty. So that's good for you because you're going to get their best every single time you call them because they believe they got to earn it. So that's my daily spiel on Saliga Heating and Cooling, a business that I love here in St. Louis. And I want you to discover why I love it if you need some help with heating and cooling. So to find out more, including the phone number, go to SaligaHeatingandCooling.com.
Working as a dedicated Fidelity advisor, I always ask, what's important to you? I'll look at those priorities and goals alongside your full financial picture to build a comprehensive plan designed to help grow and protect your wealth. With proactive portfolio insights and an eye on taxes, I'm here to help you make the most of your money. I'm Laura Maxwell, and I'm a dedicated Fidelity advisor. Learn more at fidelity.com/wealth. Investment minimums apply. Fidelity Brokerage Services, LLC, member NYSE, SIPC.
Workdays can be unpredictable, but your workwear shouldn't be. With the Cintas Apparel Plus program, you'll have freshly laundered garments for everyone on your team delivered every week. Cintas has workwear for just about any job imaginable, with high-performance fabrics and an uncompromising fit that stretches and moves with you. Don't leave looking and feeling good to chance. Visit Cintas.com.
Oh, I'm ready!
And get ready for the workday.
Hey guys, Glover here for my friends at Cantor Injury Law. So as you know, I'm a lawyer, haven't practiced in a long time, but I did plaintiff's work and defense work, so I have a pretty good understanding of it. I have a pretty good idea of who's who in the firmament of plaintiffs' attorneys. And for my money, Mark Cantor is the guy. He's a great attorney. He is a great practitioner. He's put together a great team. He was born and raised here. He lives here. He works here. He wins here. Call 314-628-ALL-9s or CantorInjuryLaw.com. The choice of a lawyer is an important decision and should not be based on advertising.
You've got your whole life ahead of you, so choose a Medicare plan you can count on. And that's what you get with a Medicare Advantage plan from United Healthcare. With more than 45 years' experience serving its members, United Healthcare has plans with low monthly premiums that fit your life today and as your needs change tomorrow. The Medicare annual enrollment period ends December 7th, so go to uhc.com/Medicare today. United Healthcare Medicare plans. It's Medicare coverage Missouri can count on.
Working full-time but still falling behind? Learn how real estate education can help you build income and get ahead on your terms. Text radio to 88007. That's RADIO to 88007. Presented by Lifestyles Unlimited.
You're listening to Leaf Filter Radio, and the guru of gutter protection himself, Chris Cunahan, is here to take your most pressing leaf-related questions and bring you a special Black Friday offer.
Hey, everybody, Chris here. I understand we have Ron on the line. Ron, where are you calling from?
Uh-oh. Ron, are you calling from a ladder?
Well, I was. I wanted to ask Chris what I need to do to get my gutters ready to have leaf filter installed.
Oh, Ron, you don't have to do anything. A Leaf Filter Trusted Pro will come out and clean out your gutters, realign and seal your gutters, and install Leaf Filter, America's #1 gutter protection system.
So I didn't need to get on this ladder?
Ron, Leaf Filter Trusted Pros are in your neighborhood and ready to help. Just visit leaffilter.com/deal to schedule your free gutter inspection and get up to 30% off.
Thank goodness. What was that site?
That's leaffilter.com/deal. And now, as a special Black Friday offer, you can get a free gutter inspection, plus up to 35% off. This is our best offer of the season. Unlock it now at leaffilter.com/deal. See representative for warranty details.
Woke radical liberals are screwing up this country, but Congressman Jason Smith is fighting back. He backed one big, beautiful tax cut for working families, ending Social Security taxes for nearly all seniors, and taxes on tips and overtime gone. So call Congressman Jason Smith at 202-225-4404 and thank him for backing working family tax cuts and putting America first. Paid for by American Prosperity Alliance.
Traffic from the MichaelsFlooringOutlet.com Traffic Center.
Well, good news downtown. They cleared the crash westbound 64 before the Poplar Street Bridge. Traffic still heavy both ways, though, between 3rd Street and the bridge, east and westbound there. East and westbound 70, a little heavy at the city limits. Eastbound, the Blanchette Bridge into 270, still congested. We had an earlier crash. Eastbound 70, still slow. Wright City all the way into Wentzville Parkway. Westbound 70 is jammed west of Wright City through that Wright City rest area toward Warrenton, so it looks like we may have trouble there. Westbound 64, Kings Highway headed out through Bellevue. Big Bend is heavy. It's slow again at 364. Eastbound 64, 94 to the Boone Bridge is bogged down. East of Lindbergh through the Interbelt is backed up almost all the way to McCausland. South 170 delays at Ladue. North and South 270 between 64 and Olive is busy, but southbound remains slow all the way down through Gravois. And 64 just east of 158, you've got slow traffic each way. I'm Roger Brand at the MichaelsFlooringOutlet.com Traffic Center.
This report is sponsored by Overhead Door Company of St. Louis.
Attention veterans and active military. Overhead Door Company of St. Louis is giving veterans and active military 10% off all month. That's 10% off all doors, openers, and any service or repair. Schedule online at overheaddoorsstlouis.com.
Rush Hour Sports continues on 104.1 FM, KMOX.
All right, back in on Rush Hour Sports. Bernie Miklasz, Matt Pauley, Kevin Wheeler hanging out with you, changing over to football and looking at Mizzou and Oklahoma. Another opportunity, guys. Another opportunity for Eli Drinkwitz and Mizzou to try to get over the top against a ranked team, a top 10 team. And as we talked about on DGS earlier, Bernie, I don't think it's a quote unquote good chance, but I think it is a reasonable matchup for Mizzou this weekend.
I think they have a better chance than maybe general public thinks. And I think that's actually reflected in the line where Mizzou's a 6.5 point underdog. Yeah. And I'm not saying they're going to win the game or like, oh man, I love their chances. But without getting too deep into the brush in terms of some of the details, Mizzou has what it takes defensively to shut that Oklahoma offense down. From the standpoint that the Oklahoma quarterback, who's really, really good, he hasn't been the same since injuring the thumb, breaking the thumb, basically, in his last 5 games in the SEC since that injury. His numbers were really down from what they were before. So you can defend their passing game, although he's a really good runner. But the other thing is Mizzou gets a great pass rush. They can stop the run. I mean, this is basically a top 5, top 8 defense in the entire country. So Mizzou has got the kind of defense that can actually keep that game in check to where if they can get a couple turnovers, they can create havoc and chaos. It sets it up for Mizzou to be able to kind of grab this thing late. But there's got to be turnovers and there's got to be mayhem. And Mizzou is absolutely going to have to run the football. And that's going to be tough because Oklahoma has got a tremendous run defense. And they have a coach, Brent Venables, who knows how to stop the other team's running game.
Yeah.
And I know Bo Prabula is coming back to start. But with all due respect, he has not been a good drop back passer even when he was healthy. So it's all up to the Mizzou running game, and it's all up to the Mizzou defense.
It's this Oklahoma team. I want to call them a sneaky 8-2, but calling Oklahoma sneaky is probably the wrong word. I'm just not coming up with the right word to use. And they had the one-side loss against Texas, 23-6, and that made you question them. But at the same time, John Mateer had no business playing.
No, he should not have played. You're right.
That's one we talk about so much with the Cardinals. That's one of those moments where Brent Venables just stepped in and said, it doesn't matter if we win or lose this football game. I know you want to beat Texas. I know what this game means to you, but there are bigger things to be accomplished. Because to Bernie's point, he still hasn't been the same.
No.
If we could hop in the DeLorean and go back and have a different reality where he would not have played in that Texas game and they would have allowed him to recover a little bit. And their backup, I can't think of his name right now, but he did a perfectly fine job when he was in there for Mateer. So I don't know. I'm with you guys. I think Missouri has more than a puncher's chance to win this game. I realize that Oklahoma is ranked number 8. I realize that Oklahoma is likely on a path that's going to result in them being in the college football playoff. But for whatever reason, I have yet to completely buy in on this year's version of the Sooners.
Got a message from John Reese on the chat, and I'll read it for everybody on the radio. It says, on Mizzou, extremely frustrated with our offensive coordinator. Hardy and Roberts have rushed 289 times, both with more than 6 yards per carry, but they only have 19 pass receptions. Help the quarterback use them with the pass. What do you guys make of that?
Well, Listen, Mizzou has got a great fleet of receivers, and they don't get them the ball enough. With all
you're
I'm
right.
not trying to be a smart aleck.
No.
With all due respect to John, and I really respect him. I've been frustrated that they don't get the ball to the great talent they have out on the perimeter. But to John's point, a change of pace throw to a running back is something I don't think opponents anticipate. So maybe they'll roll that out tomorrow. I don't know. I think it's a good point.
One step further, and I agree with 100% of what you just said. I'm frustrated watching the lack of utilization of their wide receivers, and I'm worried what that could mean for them when it comes to transfer portal time and who they could potentially lose.
I know.
But especially with Pribula being back, this is a guy that we've talked about early on in the season when Missouri was winning a lot of games. We didn't see a deep ball from him, but he was very accurate in short passes. Now that the short passing has come back a little bit as the offense has slowed down and the passing game has slowed down. But if you do put another short pass option in there for Pribula, especially his first game back, I don't think that's a terrible thing.
No.
And Wheels, I want to throw this in too, and we talked about it on Dave Glover's show today. I'm not saying the past determines or dictates or influences what's going to happen tomorrow, but it really is amazing that Mizzou has not won a game in Norman since 1966.
Something in it.
And the other thing is, since then, these numbers are just so ridiculous. I had to give them to you. They've lost their last 18 games at Oklahoma, and you know what the average score was? 37-13. So my point is, again, it has nothing to do with tomorrow, but for those who say, for those who look at history, Mizzou's got a big boulder to push up the hill, but it's just amazing that it's been that long. And the other thing real quick, Coach Drink, and I'm a defender of his on this because it's all about talent. He needs more elite talent. But the fact is 2-10 in his last 12 games against ranked SEC opponents, including 6 consecutive losses. So that's part of the landscape tomorrow.
Absolutely. All right, let's move it on. We're going to go to the NFL next up. Chiefs are just 5-5. 7 weeks left in the season, 8 weeks left in the season. They're weirdly weird. We'll get into that and the matchup against the Colts, which is a tough one, coming up next on Rush Hour Sports. It's KMOX on a Friday night.
What's up, Missouri? Tony Gonzalez here. I've spent a lot of Sundays right here playing in front of the best fans in football. And now it's almost your turn to get in the game because DraftKings Sportsbook is coming to the Show Me State on December 1st. Soon you'll get fast payouts when you win, a safe and secure app that's easy to use, and promos that keep the action going all season long. It's America's top-rated sportsbook app. New customers can sign up right now and score $300 in bonus bets on launch day, December 1st.
Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use code KMOX. New Missouri customers, sign up today and score $300 in bonus bets once we're live. That's code KMOX. In partnership with DraftKings Sportsbook. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. 21 and over. Physically present in Missouri. Eligibility restrictions apply. Terms at DraftKings.com/sportsbook. Subject to regulatory licensing requirements. Bonus bets are non-withdrawable and expire 7 days after issuance. For additional terms and responsible gaming resources, see sportsbook.draftkings.com/promos.
Hi, this is Charlie Brennan. I see clearly now thanks to the doctors, Greg Birdie, Ranjan Malhotra, Robert Brusati, and Andy Royer. You can too. YourEyeDoc.com.
Retiring soon? Get the information you need by joining Kyle Jones and Matt Allgeier of Fire Capital Management for Your Retirement Highway, Sunday mornings at 9:30. Investment advisory services made available through Pine Ridge Advisors, LLC, a registered investment advisor. Securities made available through AE Financial Services, LLC, member FINRA and SIPC.
Hi, I'm Jim Brennan with McKelvey Homes. The wait is over, and we are now selling at the Reserve at Wildwood. The early bird gets the worm, so call today and pick the home of your dreams at the coveted Wildwood Town Center, located at Highway 100 and 109. You will love the design of the Reserve with its extensive trails and wooded common ground. In a park-like setting, select from our popular Liberty or luxurious designer series homes from the 560s. Visit McKelveyHomes.com and move up to McKelvey.
Traffic from the MichaelsFlooringOutlet.com Traffic Center.
Well, we still got heavy traffic downtown. It's getting better. It's just kind of slow both ways between 3rd Street and the Poplar westbound, more so than eastbound due to a recent westbound crash, obviously, there. If you're on eastbound Highway 70, it's backed up from the Blanchet Bridge through the city where we had a crash. Eastbound 70 is still slow from east of Wright City all the way in pretty much to 64. Westbound 70, that's a jam from Wright City out to a crash we've got near the Wright City rest area, so it's about a couple mile backup at that point. South 270, Clayton Road, down through to almost Big Bend, and south of 44 down through Gravois, pretty busy. Eastbound 64 on the brakes, McKnight to Big Bend. Westbound 64 Science Center out to Big Bend is heavy. The eastbound side also slow, 94 to the Boone Bridge, and the westbound side Lake St. Louis Boulevard out to 70 is busy. I'm Roger Brand at the MichaelsFlooringOutlet.com Traffic Center.
This is Rush Hour Sports on 104.1 FM KMOX.
All right, just a few minutes left here on Rush Hour Sports. Bernie Miklasz, Matt Pauley, Kevin Wheeler with you, taking you into the weekend. A little bit of sports open line tonight, Matt. Then we got Billikens basketball. What do you got tonight?
Yeah, so we'll talk through the non-tender decisions a little bit more. We may get a tad bit into the Blues, who lose again last night, but it's gonna be mostly baseball for the 45 minutes today.
Awesome. All right, let's get to the Chiefs. Obviously, we are the home of the Chiefs in St. Louis. At noon Sunday, you'll be able to catch the game right here on KMOX. The Colts and the Chiefs. The Colts, one of the cooler stories of the year. I mean, they're 8-2. Daniel Jones has risen from the dead to be a guy. But I think there are still questions about them. But they've been a good story so far. And the Chiefs have just been weird. They're 4-1 at home, but they're 1-4 on the road. And at times they look like the Chiefs, and at times they just look off.
Here's the deal. The Chiefs offense, I know it sounds strange, and the bottom line's a bottom line, right? But in terms of what they do on their possessions, in terms of moving the football and being efficient and all this other stuff, they've actually done really, really well. They can't close the deal.
Right.
They're terrible in the red zone. They're terrible inside the 10. And Patrick Mahomes, who's a great quarterback, but for the first time in his career, I think when he's down near the other team's goal line, they've had so many failures, I think it's gotten into his head. The Chiefs were very fortunate to win 17 in a row in one-score games. It was only a matter of time before that would flip, and it's
a good point.
They're 0-5 this season in one-score games. But let me just throw one thing out. I really like the Colts. I've watched them a lot. But that said, Daniel Jones, he seems to be cracking.
He is. He's coming back to the world, right?
The last two games, he has fumbled the ball 6 times.
Yep.
And I'm not saying they're lost fumbles, but he's fumbled it 6 times. 4 interceptions. In the last 2 games, I think the Chiefs win it. I really do.
Wouldn't surprise. Well, they're favored. They're 3.5-point favorites.
Yeah.
So yeah,
we haven't really seen the Chiefs have gone off to slow starts and they've had to build back up, but they always build back up pretty quickly after that slow start. They are literally playing for their playoff lives right now. What happened last night on
they're
Thursday
the number
Night Football?
9 team right now in the AFC. Yeah,
that didn't help them. I think Houston went to 6-5 with that win last night, if I remember that correctly.
Yeah.
So they are in a fight right now. Let's see what it looks like, because we have not seen the Chiefs in the regular season have to fight for wins. Daniel Jones was on the injury report a little bit earlier this week. He came off. I know for the Chiefs, they're not going to have Pacheco. He's been ruled out. Worthy probably will play. But this game being in Kansas City, I feel pretty good about the Chiefs coming away with this win.
Yeah, I like the Chiefs as well, guys, and I think I like, Bernie, the Chiefs defense being able to do something against Taylor, because he's everything for the Colts, and if you can at least slow him down, I think you win.
He's had such a great
It's amazing
season.
year, huh?
And I don't know when Congress passed the legislation that the Senate actually reaffirmed, and whoever the president was signed it into law, where, we can't give the MVP award to a runner. It's got to be a quarterback.
Right.
It's just got to be a quarterback.
Yep.
I don't think anyone's been more valuable than Jonathan Taylor.
Agreed. He's been a dominant player. And if he goes, I think they pull it off. But I think, with Spags and the Chiefs, I like the Chiefs defense. They do a great job of mixing looks and taking away something that you want to do. And I don't know that they're going to take it all the way away, but I think they at least take it away to the point where you're going to put more on Jones.
A big factor is they're not getting the juice on the defensive front. Chris Jones, who's had a great career, he's running low on fuel.
Sure looks like it.
He's not the same intimidator. He's not the same game changer. And I think that's one of the factors why their defense has had more problems than usual, even though it's still a good defense.
Yep.
Not to throw a lot of cold water on the Colts here, but they've still only got really one really impressive win. That was when they went to the Chargers and won that by 2 touchdowns. They have a nice win against the Broncos, but that was a 1-point win. You can only play who's on the schedule. You can't control that. But if you go up and down that Colts schedule, to me, I think there's only one game where it's pretty impressive what they did.
So what you're saying is if you were on the college football playoff committee, they'd be out.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that, but I understand. But the principle of what I'm saying is that, yes.
No, you're right. In fact, real quick, I got your back, Matt Pauley. The Colts from this point out, starting Sunday, have the toughest schedule in the NFL.
Yeah.
We're going to find out about them and their quarterback.
Absolutely. No joke about that. It's a good team every week. The Texans that we just talked about, the Jags have been good. Seattle is good. The Niners are good. Jags again, Texans again. So, yeah, that's a pretty good test. And if they pass that, well, then they'll be there and they're legit, and we can be talking about them in the NFL playoffs.
Absolutely. I'll remove the cold water.
All right, boys, have a great weekend, man. It's been fun these last couple of days.
Love
Bernie,
you guys.
thank you for pinch hitting while I was out. We really appreciate that. I know it sounded great, and I know our listeners appreciate that as well. So stick around. We have Sports Open Line coming up. A little short version of Sports Open Line. 6:45 will be Billikens pregame and the Billikens tip-off at 7 o'clock. A lot going on for this weekend. I mentioned the Chiefs at noon on Sunday. And hopefully, with the winter meetings right around the corner, we'll start getting more news on the trade and free agent front in Major League Baseball. Boys, have a great night. That's Rush Hour Sports. Sports Open Line is next.
You could think you found your dream home online. The kitchen island looks perfect for your inner chef. The backyard, a paradise for your green thumb. And that extra room, hello walk-in closet. But here's the twist. The lot next door just got rezoned for years of construction. And this sound, yeah, you're going to be hearing a lot of that. Don't let your dream home turn into a nightmare. Work with the expertise and ethical training of a Realtor, here to guide and help protect you from the surprises you didn't see coming. Realtors are members of the National Association of Realtors, right by you.
Okay, I have to tell you, I was just looking on eBay where I go for all kinds of things I love, and there it was.
That hologram trading card. One of the rarest, the last one I needed for my set. Shiny like the
designer handbag of my dreams. One of a kind. eBay had it, and now everyone's asking, ooh, where'd you get your
windshield wipers? eBay has all the parts that fit my car. No more annoying, just beautiful.
Millions of finds, each with a story. eBay. Things people love.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-575-9834. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS.
Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start.
Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems.
We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau.
You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com
or call 800-575-9834. That's 800-575-9834.
Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
This holiday season, the Dave Glover Show is excited to partner with Hardee's and Operation Food Search for the Holiday Food Drive. While supplies last, stop by any metro area Hardee's and make a donation of at least $1 to benefit Operation Food Search and receive a limited edition DGS holiday sticker. All donations will benefit Operation Food Search to help children and families facing food insecurities. Get all the details about the campaign or to make an online donation, head to KMOX.com/events.
Traffic from the MichaelsFlooringOutlet.com Traffic Center.
Well, got a little trouble if you're coming in for the Billikens game tonight on eastbound Highway 64. We have a crash, eastbound 64, just past Big Bend. The center lane is blocked. Traffic's backed up about midway between Lindbergh and McKnight on eastbound 64 up to that point. Westbound 64, Hampton through Big Bend. Everybody's slowing for a look. It's slow again, Lake St. Louis Boulevard out to 70. 70's better, but there's still heavy traffic east of Forestell into Wentzville Parkway, and westbound 70, Wright City out to the rest area. Not a solid jam, but it's still pretty heavy. We had a crash there recently that cleared. Eastbound 64, 94 across the Boone Bridge. That's also slow. South 270, Manchester to Doherty Ferry, south of 44 to Gravois is busy as well. I'm Roger Brand at the MichaelsFlooringOutlet.com Traffic Center.
News, talk, cards. KMOX AM St. Louis. KMOX FM Hazelwood. Always live on the free Odyssey app.
After insults, President Trump praises New York's mayor-elect.
I feel very confident that he can do a very good job.
Holiday getaway begins.
I feel like they're handling it pretty well. It didn't take me too long to check in.
U.S.-backed plan to end Russia-Ukraine war.
It's a proposal that no Ukrainian leader could ever sign.
This is the CBS World News Roundup Late Edition. I'm Jennifer Kuiper. President Trump and New York City Mayor-elect Zoran Mamdani seem to have put aside their differences during a cordial meeting at the White House. CBS's Linda Kenyon.
They have been outspoken adversaries, with President Trump calling the mayor-elect, quote, a 100% communist lunatic, and Mamdani calling the president, quote, authoritarian and a despot. But none of that seemed to matter when the two met face to face.
The meeting that we had focused not on places of disagreement, which there are many, and also focused on the shared purpose that we have in serving New Yorkers.
President Trump echoed Mamdani's sentiment.
He wants to see no crime. He wants to see housing being built. He wants to see rents coming down, all things that I agree with.
And he added,
I'll be cheering for him.
Linda Kenyon, CBS News, Washington.
Texas asks the U.S. Supreme Court for an order to use a congressional map that a lower court ruled is likely racially biased. The Thanksgiving holiday travel period kicks off today. At Denver's airport,
we're hoping everything's smooth, and we're so glad that the government's back on and TSA's at full throttle and all of the flight controllers, so thank goodness.
CBS's Chris Van Cleve at Miami's airport says some airports are still cranking into gear after the government shutdown.
There's some booking data that indicates travel headaches caused by the government shutdown may have put a bit of a dent into the airline's prediction of a record 31 million flyers because the pace of bookings slowed in November. And some airports report they are still getting back to normal in terms of TSA staffing at their checkpoints.
There are almost 290 cancellations and over 4,500 delays in the U.S., according to FlightAware. An officer at St. Louis's busiest airport early this morning shot and killed a man who police say showed a knife when told he was in an area where he shouldn't have been and refused to leave and wouldn't stop coming toward them even after being tased. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky indicates relations with the U.S. could be on the line after receiving the U.S.'s proposal to end the Russia-Ukraine war. It includes Russian President Vladimir Putin's demands of territorial concessions. Former CBS News Moscow bureau chief Beth Noble.
I think what Ukrainian President Zelensky is trying to signal here is that he wants President Trump to swing back to Ukraine's side and to try to structure a peace deal that won't just give Russia everything it wants.
Stocks rose on Wall Street. The Dow climbed 493 points. Now this.
Sponsored by Progressive Insurance. Take the next step forward in your career with great benefits and an award-winning workplace. Apply at careers.progressive.com.
At 6:03, we've got rain right now, 57 degrees downtown at the Arch. Sheriff Alfred Montgomery's trial, which could cost him his job, continues into a third day. Our Sean Malone is just back from speaking with his attorneys. And Sean, what are they saying?
Yeah, Michael, they're putting on an optimistic spin with how the trial has gone so far. But to look at what has been said yesterday and today again, it's a lot of testimony from employees and deputies and even some of the command staff within the Sheriff's Department under Alfred Montgomery testifying about how he ignored their advice with things such as not detaining the deputy commissioner of the City Justice Center, going around people in the personnel department to make some of the questionable purchases that we've been reporting on, and other sort of ways that he has just ignored the good advice around him and gone against his better wishes, which has landed him in some trouble. Here's attorney David Mason afterwards.
Quite frankly, you can see that in a lot of offices. I mean, I hear people say that about the mayor. I mean, that's he is who he is.
Now, the trial is not yet concluded. In fact, the prosecution, the attorneys general have yet to rest their case. It will continue on Monday and potentially into Tuesday. Live in the newsroom, Sean Malone, KMOX News.
Several police cars bore down on a troubled park this morning. Stuart McMillan was there.
Rain was falling as some who loiter the park next to Central Library and Soldiers Memorial wandered underneath one of the awnings over the entrance to Park Pacific Building, also the home of KMOX Radio. When employees of the building told the trespassers to leave, one of the men said he had a gun. About an hour before, someone from the park smashed out a large display window on the 13th Street side. St. Louis City Police Captain Chris Stamper tells me the park is an ongoing problem.
We're working with the city administration on solutions. The city closed the park a month or so ago for 7 days, which helped tremendously, and we're in constant communication with them about addressing the issue as well. So it's just a work in progress.
Consumer sentiment has sunk to its second lowest level in history, down 29% from a year ago. Scott Colbert, chief economist with Commerce Bank, says the average person is getting squeezed from inflation and from paychecks that don't keep up.
Oddly enough, despite the fact that their consumer sentiment is so weak, the economy has remained relatively resilient and made forward progress. It's as much divergence as we've ever seen between actual economic activity and sentiment.
The Thanksgiving Parade in downtown St. Louis is not on Thanksgiving Day this year. It's tomorrow. Ken Mullen is a parade spokesman.
Starting at City Hall and ending at Keener Plaza. We have over 120 units, including helium balloons, 10 musical bands, 12 floats.
The parade will go from 2 till 4 tomorrow. Winterfest will be open with skating, food, and drinks at Keener Plaza.
This is really exciting. This is the 10th year of Winterfest.
Gateway Arch Park Foundation Executive Director Ryan McClure notes there is a new heated tent with windows facing the ice rink. He says this is a big deal for downtown.
Our programming every year is bringing a $10 million economic impact to downtown St. Louis. And a large part of that $10 million is Winterfest.
Let's get you to Roger Brand and get you hopefully closer to your Friday. Roger?
Yeah, Michael, we got some delays if you're coming in for the Billikens game right now. Just be advised, if you're on eastbound 64, you're backed up from 94 to the Boone Bridge, and then you jam at McKnight. There's a crash or a stall, I can't tell which, but it's blocking the center lane eastbound 64 just east of Big Bend. So like I said, backed up at McKnight, but south 170's slow at Brentwood down to 64 because of all that eastbound volume there. Coming in from the Illinois side for the game, westbound 64, stop and go from 3rd Street across the Poplar Street Bridge. We had an earlier crash westbound there that they did clear. Eastbound 70 drivers, you've got slow traffic from Forestel all the way to 64, and again from the Blanchett into 270. That was due to a crash. Westbound 70, Wright City out toward about midway out to the rest area, still a jam. That was due to a recent crash, and they're reporting a bunch of cabinets, like kitchen cabinetry, across traffic lanes on North 55 just south of M. There's about a half-mile backup coming into that area because of that incident. I'm Roger Brand in the Michael's Flooring Outlet.com Traffic Center.
Brought to you by Duke's Mayonnaise.
This is the Duke's Country Song. It's a song about the best mayo. It has a yellow lid, and its full name is Duke's Mayonnaise. Get Duke's Mayo at Hannaford. It's got twang.
We will continue to see some evening showers and thunderstorms, and then everything should start to wind down. But the clouds are going to be with us all night long. These evening showers and thunder showers are not for everybody, but they will be around up until about 9 o'clock or so. 45 for a chilly overnight low with a north to northwest wind. Saturday, cloudy to start, kind of a gloomy start. Then skies go partly sunny. 58 for the high temperature. Saturday night, clear. Kind of cold, 42 on Sunday. Lots of sunshine, 64 degrees. Increasing clouds on Sunday night. Monday, clouds with rain developing, especially Monday afternoon. 59 degrees, kind of wet Monday night. Then we go quiet. This will be the last of the series of storm systems. Thursday for Thanksgiving Day, sunny and chilly, 45 degrees. From the Saliga Heating and Cooling Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Dave Murray on 104.1 FM. KMOX.
We've got some rain right now. It's 57 downtown at the Arch. I'm Michael Calhoun, KMOX News.
Come on, let's get going now.
From KMOX Sports.
We're primed and ready. All day, baby. Hey, let's go.
This is the Gray Bar Sports Open Live. Gray Bar, your distributor for electrical and datacom needs. On 104.1 FM, KMOX.
We have arrived to Friday. It is a Gray Bar Sports Open Line right here on at KMOX. My name is Matt Pauley. Appreciate you spending the early parts of your weekend with us. We only have you for about 45 minutes or so. SLU basketball tonight. They put their 4-0 record on the line as they match up against a 2-4 Purdue Fort Wayne squad. 7 o'clock for the tip-off. Bob Ramsey, Earl Austin Jr. on the call, and we'll have coverage beginning at about 6:45. So here in about 35 minutes or so is when we are going to wrap things up and get out of here for the night and hand you off to Rammer and Earl for SLU basketball. If you do want to chime in before we get to that point, you can call or text 314-436-7900, 314-436-7900. You can tweet at me at Matt Pauley on air, MattPauley on air. And for those of you who are watching on the video stream, feel free to leave a comment in the chat, and we can certainly address some of those as we do go along through the night. The big news of the day. Today was the non-tender deadline for Major League Baseball, so this is the day where you have to decide whether or not you are going to tender players' contracts, and the Cardinals did make the decision to non-tender a handful of players. Officially, Jorge Alcala got listed on this. He had already been designated, so that's not anything, but the three other ones are something. In right-hand pitcher Sim Robertson, he was somebody who was acquired at the trade deadline a couple years back and has just dealt with a ton of injuries, so he becomes a free agent. Catcher Joel Pozo, who I think the biggest reaction to the news today has been that of Pozo, because Pozo very quickly became a fan favorite there for a while. He was really swinging it well. He had a flair for the dramatic. He was coming up with big hits, and he's just a really good story, and a guy who is really easy to root for. But Pozo is not tendered a contract, and then left-hand pitcher John King not tendered a contract as well. And King was the only guy who was arbitration eligible in that group. The other players were just going to be under basic team control when it came to their cost. So it was not a cost decision. It was a 40-man decision. With those moves today, the Cardinals' 40-man roster is now sitting at 37. So they moved 3 spots open. And that was, I'm sure the John King decision was probably partially connected to money, because when you saw what he was going to make out of arbitration, it wasn't a ton of money, but it was something that you could probably spend that money better elsewhere. Whereas with the other 2 guys, it's just about going out and finding a way to clear a couple 40-man roster spots to have as much flexibility as possible as this offseason does continue on. And is there a scenario where they don't add a whole lot to the 40-man roster as they're moving? Like, basically, they move more off than they bring in from a 40-man standpoint? Yeah, that is quite possible if they make some of these trades that we expect them to make, and the pieces are not yet at a point where they have to be protected on the 40-man roster. That's absolutely a possibility, but you also do want to have that flexibility available where if you've got the opportunity to trade somebody and bring in some guys who are not quite major league ready, but also guys that require protection on the 40-man roster, you want to be able to have the flexibility to do that. So that's what they did today. It goes back to the conversation we had, I think it was on Monday that we were talking about it, if I remember correctly, because we had a commenter ask when we were talking about 40-man flexibility, had a commenter ask about, well, is this why J.J. Weatherholt didn't get the call-up last year, because you don't want to place him on the 40-man roster, and it is kind of all connected to that. The John Mozeliak made it very clear as he was wrapping up his time last year that he was trying to avoid him making decisions that were going to impact the Cardinals in 2026 and beyond. And he made it very clear that they were going to try to have as clean of a 40-man roster situation for Chaim Bloom as possible. And I think they accomplished both those goals. Could have they had some other moves last year at the trade deadline involving players who were not on expiring contracts? Yeah, absolutely. In fact, as this Brendan Donovan thing plays out, and Donovan is a highly sought-after trade piece. Every single day, it seems like I'm either reading or I'm watching a new piece of content from somebody who's really smart and who's really connected, talking about the fact that there are a lot of teams that are interested in Brendan Donovan. I think it was John Morosi who maybe said it on MLB Network. He was talking about the Houston Astros, and he mentioned the fact that the Astros were in on Donovan at the trade deadline this past year. But the Cardinals didn't move him. And I'm not saying that the Cardinals absolutely were not going to move somebody at the trade deadline this past year that they had control over if something would have made sense. But I think they would have to been absolutely blown out of the water by an offer. And that did not happen. And the asking price reportedly continues to be pretty high for Donovan, as it should. And when I say that, I think there's some I'm not trying to just repeat all the stuff that we've been saying all week long, because Kevin Wheeler and I have talked about this a fair amount. I think there is some misinformation out there on social media right now from people who are setting the bar way too high on what you could potentially get back for a Brendan Donovan. You know, I've seen things saying that you're going to get 2 top 100 level prospects. I'm not convinced you are going to get somebody in the top 100, and if you do, it's going to be on the back end of the top 100 for Brendan Donovan. But there's nothing wrong with that. That is still a piece that can come in and can help you and can make your organization better and can make your organization more healthy. And maybe it pushes a little bit past that. Look, if as many teams are interested in Donovan as it's being said, can the asking price go up a little bit? Yeah, sure. Can it go up a lot? I don't think so. Message asks, would I trade Brendan Donovan for a Blaze Jordan type of prospect? No, I would not. Blaze Jordan was just made available on the 40-man roster as a AAA guy who's got a skill set that could probably play at an okay level at the major league level right now. And the Cardinals did not think high enough of Jordan to protect him from the Rule 5 draft and put him on the 40-man roster. So I think the level of prospect that they get back has to be better than that. But if we're talking about top 100 level prospects, if we're talking about teams top 2, 3, 4 prospects, that's pushing a little bit too much. And the thing that worries me, the thing that does worry me in all this is there seems to be some narratives out there and some people who are pushing the idea that Donovan's value is higher than I think it is. And by the way, I would love to be wrong. I will celebrate my wrongness if I end up being wrong here. I will be ecstatic about being wrong. I would love I think the Cardinals are just about, I'm at 99% that they're going to trade Brendan Donovan. And I want to see them get as much back for him as possible. So if they get this incredible package of players, everything that I'm telling you is not going to happen, I will raise my hand, tell you I got this one wrong, and I'll be so happy about it. I don't think it's going to happen. And the thing that worries me is the Cardinals could trade Donovan. They could get a really nice piece, or they could get some really nice pieces. It could be a very solid trade for the organization. But because there are some voices out there that are getting louder and louder, who are putting Donovan's level in a trade at a place that I just don't think is real, that there's going to be people who are disappointed in the return, and they shouldn't be disappointed, because I think if you're grounded more in reality right now, you realize what that return could potentially be for Donovan. And again, a lot of teams being interested in Donovan, that's a very good thing, and that can push the return up. I don't know how much further up it could go, though. And that's going to be the fun thing to watch as this whole thing goes through. We'll continue to talk about this, the tender, non-tender decisions, what it means about the team. You know, one player who I thought might not get tendered a contract is Andre Palante. He does get tendered a contract. What does that mean? How does that set things moving forward? We'll discuss that coming up in just a moment. You are locked in to a Gray Bar Sports Open Line on KMOX.
Overhead Door Company of St. Louis, the genuine, the original, present 100 years of KMOX.
Big Red Highlights are brought to you by KMOX Radio, the sports voice of St. Louis.
There, when every game mattered.
Here's Lomax back taking the snap, 4-man rush. He throws one down the middle, Green, touchdown! Touchdown!
Cardinal football on the move.
Takes the snap, rolling right, throwing in goal, caught, touchdown!
Hi, I'm Roy Green. KMOX Radio brings you exclusive Cardinal football action. Tune in each Sunday as Bill Wilkerson and Zip Rozeppa bring you all the play-by-play. Only on the sports voice of America, KMOX Radio.
There for every headline, every heartbreak, every heartbeat. KMOX. the voice of St. Louis. Brought to you by St. Louis Public Library, St. Louis's original search engine.
Discover one of St. Louis's greatest treasures, St. Louis Public Library's Central Library. Designed by world-renowned architect Cass Gilbert and completed in 1912, this Beaux Arts masterpiece blends stunning historic details with modern design after a $70 million award-winning renovation. Experience the grandeur for yourself. Free docent-led tours are available Mondays at 11 and 12:30 and Saturdays at 11 noon and 1 p.m. Visit online at slpl.org to learn more. St. Louis Public Library.
Hey there, it's Steven, the owner of the Photo Pros, formerly Creve Coeur Camera. Each day, people bring us their family history, single photos in need of restoration, piles of photos wanting them to be scanned, boxes of slides, albums, videotapes, DVDs, and even old home movies. We take them and digitize them, or what we call scan them at high resolution, and place them on a USB thumb drive. Plus, many people want additional copies for the rest of the family. Yes, we'll make you copies. Here's the best part. You don't have to send them out of St. Louis and have a chance of losing them. If needed, we can fix or restore the entire image or images. We are slightly higher priced than the internet, but our quality is top notch. Remember the Photo Pros, formerly Creve Coeur Camera. Come visit Mark, Derek, Daryl, Tony, and me, Steven, at our store. You can reach us at 314-567-3456 or Google the Photo Pros or even Creve Coeur Camera.
You're listening to Leaf Filter Radio, and the guru of gutter protection himself, Chris Cunahan, is here to take your most pressing leaf-related questions and bring you a special Black Friday offer.
Hey, everybody, Chris here. I understand we have Ron on the line. Ron, where are you calling from?
Uh-oh. Ron, are you calling from a ladder?
Well, I was. I wanted to ask Chris what I need to do to get my gutters ready to have leaf filter installed.
Oh, Ron, you don't have to do anything. A Leaf Filter Trusted Pro will come out and clean out your gutters, realign and seal your gutters, and install Leaf Filter, America's #1 gutter protection system.
So I didn't need to get on this ladder?
Ron, Leaf Filter Trusted Pros are in your neighborhood and ready to help. Just visit leaffilter.com/deal to schedule your free gutter inspection and get up to 30% off.
Thank goodness. What was that site?
That's leaffilter.com/deal. And now, as a special Black Friday offer, you can get a free gutter inspection, plus up to 35% off. This is our best offer of the season. Unlock it now at leaffilter.com/deal. See representative for warranty details.
You've got your whole life ahead of you, so choose a Medicare plan you can count on. And that's what you get with a Medicare Advantage plan from United Healthcare. With more than 45 years' experience serving its members, United Healthcare has plans with low monthly premiums that fit your life today and as your needs change tomorrow. The Medicare annual enrollment period ends December 7th, so go to uhc.com/Medicare today. United Healthcare Medicare plans. It's Medicare coverage Missouri can count on.
This is Carol Daniel. I'm so proud to be part of KMOX's 100 years of broadcasting excellence. Congratulations.
It's Gray Bar Sports Open Line right here on KMOX. My name is Matt Pauley. By the way, thanks so much for all the people who listened in yesterday all day long for our 100-year anniversary special. If you missed any of the audio, it was 10 and a half hours yesterday. It started at 8 a.m. and it went through 6:30. We have all the audio archived at KMOX.com. You can check that out for yourself. It was just a really, really special day yesterday. It was so fun to be able to do it, and the pioneers that we were able to honor. But if you missed anything, all the hours are broken down hour by hour by audio. You just go to KMOX.com. You'll see the 100-year logo. You're able to click on that and then see everything about the KMOX pioneers, and then listen for anything that you might have missed. It was a lot of fun, and I've been thinking about it a lot since yesterday. I was so glad that I was able to be a part of it. If you want to chime in, we're talking about the non-tenders today for the Cardinals. Again, if you missed the news, the Cardinals officially announcing 4 non-tenders. Really, it's 3 because we already knew that Jorge Alcala had been he had already been designated, so no shock there. But Sim Robertson, Joel Pozo and John King are the three players who were officially not tendered contracts today, and King was the only one of the three who was arbitration eligible. So he was the one guy who was going to get a big raise. The other guys were still under club control when it came to their salary cost, but they did want the respective 40-man roster spots. Got a text message from the 636 and said, do the reductions from the 40-man roster allow the Cardinals to pick up players in the Rule 5 draft? Well, yes and no. The yes part of it is they have the ability to do so because right now they have space on the 40-man roster. And if you pick somebody up on the Rule 5 draft, they immediately take a 40-man roster spot. So from a very technical standpoint, yes, they where when we woke up this morning and the 40-man roster, was the 40-man roster full this? Yeah, the 40-man roster was full when we woke up. And now as we go to bed tonight, there's going to be a few spots available. Yes, they can be active in the Rule 5 draft. I think if they pick somebody in the Rule 5 draft, they have to be very, very selective in that. Having roster flexibility being lessened is probably not something you want for this year. So that's the argument against. Let me talk out of both sides of my mouth. I can do that. The argument for is if you see somebody who you think can really turn into a nice piece, this is a year where you may not be competing at the highest level. So what are you actually missing out on by stashing away a player for the entire year as a way to get their eventual upside? So those are the two sides. This past year they needed roster flexibility when it came to pitchers going up and down, and I feel like it's going to be largely the same this upcoming season. So I'm not completely precluding the idea of them being active in the Rule 5 draft. I just think the upside has to be enough that it's worth it. That would be my motivation for selecting someone in the Rule 5 draft. If I really, really believe that this is a player who's got the opportunity to turn into something kind of special. You know, we were talking about this the other day when they didn't add Blaze Jordan, second Blaze Jordan reference of the show. We were talking about this the other day when they made the decision not to add Blaze Jordan to the 40-man roster, therefore making him eligible for the Rule 5 draft. One of the reasons, if I'm making that decision, here's how I'll say this. If I'm part of that decision-making process and I go, I really like Blaze Jordan. So if I'm Chaim Bloom, if I'm anybody in the Cardinals organization, and I'm assessing the situation and I'm trying to motivate myself to not put Jordan on the 40-man roster, or if I'm trying to, in the internal argument, if I'm looking at reasons for and reasons against, part of the reason to not protect him is because Jordan, and this can always change, Blaze Jordan is not known as somebody who's got a really high ceiling. He's not known as somebody who is going to really, really exceed what he is right now. That there's still a ton of development left for him. He's got the opportunity to be a good player. He's got the opportunity to be a good big leaguer. It sounds like I'm denigrating him when I say that. That's not what I'm trying to do, but I understand if you're listening to me, that's how, there's a reason it probably sounds that way. That's not the idea that I'm trying to go with. The idea is that he's somebody that doesn't have a lot of growth left in him. So is he worth another team saying, okay, we will stash this guy on our roster for an entire year because we think it's worth it? And Kevin and I talked about this the other day, and I think Kevin is more open to the idea that he might get selected by another team than I am, but that would be the reason not to. Now, there's going to be some bad Major League Baseball teams out there that need help on their Major League roster, and they're going to look at a profile of a Blaze Jordan, and it's actually going to be about, can this guy help them in 2026? Not about what you're going to get out of him eventually, but what you're going to get out of him in 2026. And if Blaze Jordan is better than what they already have on the back end of their roster, and he might be, then maybe he is selected in the Rule 5 draft. I don't think he's going to be one of those guys that gets selected because of what he eventually might turn into. So different teams have different approaches. Sometimes your approach changes based off where you're at. If you've listened to me a lot, you've known that I have thrown out the idea, and at times I've kind of waffled on it. I'll admit that. I've gone back and forth. But at times I did think that Andre Palante was going to be a non-tender. I think his MLB trade rumors projection for his arbitration salary this year was going to be like $3.5 million. And I had openly wondered whether or not it was at a point where they kind of felt like they had gone with Palante as far as they could go with him, and it was time to give somebody else that same opportunity. That's evidently not the case. And the only reason I ever kind of pumped the brakes when I was feeling that way was I'm excited about how smart this organization is turning into, where they are going to be able to do a better job of making players the best possible version of themselves. And I do think the best possible version of Andre Palante is a very serviceable pitcher in Major League Baseball. And I think it's as a starter. I don't think it's as a reliever. I do not like his profile as a relief pitcher whatsoever. But I don't like what we saw from him this past year. I really like what we saw from him 2 seasons ago in the second half of the season when he was arguably the best starting pitcher in the Cardinals rotation for the second half of the season. So, look, as much as, and I'll raise my hand and say there were times where I thought that Palante was going to be a non-tender, and obviously he's been tendered a contract. So when I was feeling that way, I got that one wrong. Okay, that's fine. But now that we know where they're at with this, I could certainly say that there's a lot of kind of upheaval right now when it comes to the Cardinals starting rotation, because the expectation is that they will likely move on from Sonny Gray. I think that's Sonny Gray's probably second on my list, maybe third on my list on players I most expect the Cardinals to trade. The players that I most expect them to trade, and I don't know what number to put them in, but it's Sonny Gray, Brendan Donovan, and Nolan Arenado. Those are the 3 players that I feel most confident that the Cardinals are likely to trade this offseason. So you've already lost one pitcher from your rotation, Miles Miklasz. You're likely to move on from Sonny Gray. Now there are pieces that are ready to go. I am very, very hopeful that a Quinn Matthews is going to be able to break camp and be part of the rotation right away. I am very curious about what's going to happen with Kyle Leahy and whether or not he can put together a spring that results in him being part of the rotation. But there's going to be a lack of guys who are essentially sitting with guaranteed jobs going into spring training in the starting rotation. To me, it's 2 guys. It's Matthew Liberatore and Michael McGreevy. And so then you've got 3 open spots, and you got guys who are going to be competing for those jobs. So when you've got now they're going to bring somebody in. At some point, there's going to be another player on this roster who essentially has a guaranteed spot in the rotation going into spring. I feel pretty good about them acquiring controllable starting pitching that's ready for the big league level right now. I think that is very likely to happen. But even then, even if you've got a couple spots available, and like I've said over and over and over, they basically did not have a single injury in the starting rotation this past year. There is a good chance that that's never going to happen again in any of our lifetimes. That just does not happen. Teams do not go through 162 games and not suffer injuries in their starting rotation. So you have to be protected when it comes to the rotation as well. We're going to take one more break, and when we return, we'll kind of put a bow on this conversation, and then we'll get out of here for SLU basketball. They are in action tonight, and they're going to match up against Purdue Fort Wayne over at Chaffetz Arena. You can still chime in if you want at 314-436-7900, 314-436-7900, or by leaving a comment on the chat. We're back with more in just a moment right here on KMOX.
On KMOX Day, the legends came home, sharing memories. KMOX, a national powerhouse.
KMOX pioneer Bob Costas.
I'm proud to be connected in any way to KMOX.
Frank Absher, thank you for being here.
I'm glad to be back.
The great Charlie Brennan, welcome back.
A lot of memories today. Wendy Weiss is back on KMOX, folks.
It's been a while.
We've collected more than 10 hours of incredible conversations from your favorite voices. Relive the celebration now, only at KMOX.com.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm, and Chuck McDowell, definitely not an attorney. This is Chuck. Do you feel stupid for buying a timeshare? Don't. It's not your fault. You were most likely told you could rent it, and it was a great financial investment. And the deal was available today only. If this happened to you, contact your resort or Wesley Financial Group for help today.
Call Wesley now for your free exit information kit. 800-242-3131. 800-242-3131.
I'm Ed Evans, CEO of Consumer Cellular. Ever wonder why Big Wireless wants you on unlimited plan? They probably want you to cover the cost of those 20-somethings using all that data every month. But most people 50 and up like me only use 12 gigs or less. Don't get bamboozled by Big Wireless. Switch to Consumer Cellular. Our plans start at just $20, and we use the same towers as the big guys. Join the millions who choose something better, because if you're not using all that data, you're probably getting used.
Call 1-888-FREEDOM, visit consumercellular.com/fax, or a store near you. Plans include $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing. See site for additional facts.
All right, you pick them. You don't have to take my word for it. Lots of 5-star reviews out there from my friends at Rhino Shield, because like me, there are a lot of satisfied Rhino Shield customers. And what does that mean? Well, maybe you're satisfied because it's exactly the color and beautiful, vivid color that you wanted, right? With the trim and all of that they can do in different colors, just like you would with regular paint, but it lasts for so long. Maybe you're happy because you're not out there scraping or having to pay somebody to scrape and paint every 4 or 5 years. That's what happens with regular paint. Not Rhino Shield. Goes on thick, waterproofs your house completely, protects it from the rays of the sun, gives you an insulation factor. It's fantastic. They've used it on HGTV on unpainted brick, block, aluminum, steel, hardy cement board. It's fantastic on all of it. Call them today for a free evaluation, 877-25-RHINO. or 877-25rhino.com.
Get this, 42% of baby boomers don't even know how much money they have in their nest egg. If you're not sure where you stand in terms of getting ready for retirement, you should be listening to the All Financial Hour with Steve All.
Let's sit down and talk about your questions, because I think that's the most important thing that it is out there. It's what questions do you have?
Saturday mornings at 10 or Sunday evenings at 6, right here on KMOX.
Turning 50 doesn't mean slowing down. It means getting smarter about your health. That's why we created NeoVitan Men's 50 Plus Multivitamin. It's doctor formulated to support your energy, immune health, and overall vitality. Plus, it's made in the U.S. using the finest domestic and international ingredients. Take control of your health with supplements you can trust. Look for NeoVitan Men's 50 Plus at your local Schnucks, Dierbergs, or online at neovitan.com. NeoVitan, men who keep moving forward.
Sunday, the Chiefs are back at Arrowhead to face the Colts.
Sightman Cancer Center game time, 12 noon. Sightman Cancer Center, national leaders in cancer.
The Chiefs, the Colts. Sunday on your home for Chiefs football. 104.1 FM, KMOX.
It's Graybar Sports Open Line right here on KMOX. We have just a few minutes left in the program. We're going to get out of here early because we've got Billikens basketball tonight. Billikens are in action as they are going to match up against Purdue Fort Wayne over at Chaffetz Arena. That's going to be a 7 o'clock start, looking to keep their undefeated record going as they lead into a Thanksgiving tournament on Thursday. They're going to match up against a pretty good Santa Clara team. Again, I'm not trying to look past Purdue Fort Wayne, but I do think they are likely to win this game tonight. And then that Thursday game against Santa Clara, on paper, looks really good. I didn't realize how good Santa Clara was. They are undefeated themselves, and they have a road win against Xavier, and they have a home win against Nevada. So that's a good team they're going to match up against, and you'd love to see the Billikens taking an undefeated record into that game coming up on Thursday as they open up that event. And then the second game of that event, they're going to match up against a power conference team as they'll take on either Minnesota or Stanford. So a big week coming up for the Billikens. We have just a couple minutes left in the show. I want to address something. Message comes in, says, I don't think we're going to see JJ for at least a whole year with Heim reinventing the minor league system. To me, it makes sense to keep him there. No, that's wrong. And if we can revisit this in a few months. I don't think it's a 100% guarantee that JJ Weatherholt is on the opening day roster this year. I think it is likely that he's on the opening day roster, but it's not a 100% guarantee. Barring injury, to me, it is a 100% guarantee that he is going to be a big leaguer this year. And I would say it's going to be a most of the year type situation. If something occurs where he does not make it out of spring training, then I don't think he's going to be down there very long. Major league teams, for the most part, do not want their top-level prospects spending too much time at AAA. That is just a box-checking moment for high-level prospects. Get in there, show that you can have success against them, and get out. If in another scenario, Weatherholt would have been up last year, but it didn't make sense for where the organization was at, and it didn't make sense when it came to the desired 40-man flexibility that we were talking about earlier. That stuff's going to be off the table once we get into the season this upcoming year. And the last thing you want is Weatherholt spending a lot of time at AAA. AAA is not a great environment. And I say this as somebody who spent 6 years of my life broadcasting AAA baseball. It can be a toxic environment. Very few players even want to be there. It's a bunch of former big leaguers who want to get back, a bunch of guys who don't feel like they're getting a fair shake. It's not the greatest place in the world. So JJ Weatherholt is going to be a big leaguer for, I think, much of the season this coming year, if not all of the season. That is it for this edition of a Gray Bar Sports Open Line. Have a wonderful weekend. I will talk to you again on Monday. St. Louis University Billikens basketball on the way next on America's Sports Voice, KMOX.
Time now for today's Spotlight on Tech.